President Cyril Ramaphosa and other African heads of state are in Kyiv. This is ahead of their meetings with President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Earlier today, they visited a mass grave site in Bucha, near the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, where the site is located behind the St. Andrew's Orthodox Church, where over 450 civilians who died during the initial stages of the Russia-Ukraine conflict are in fact buried. African leaders say the continent has felt the adverse economic impact of the conflict in the Ukraine. The mission aims to encourage both parties to agree to negotiate a peaceful solution to the conflict. President Ramaphosa and his Senegalese counterpart Macky Sall are heading a peace mission to Kyiv today and St. Petersburg tomorrow.
The president arrived in Kyiv safely by train, along with other heads of states and government who are part of the African leaders' peace mission to Ukraine and Russia. I would like to assure all South Africans that there has been no compromise whatsoever to the president's safety as a result of the impasse that involved the charter flight with the Presidential Protection Services team and the media. We acknowledge the regrettable nature of that incident. Our officials are engaging with their Polish counterparts to resolve the impasse so that the PPS team as well as the media can proceed with their journey as planned, as well as be able to cover at least the Russian leg of the peace talks, as well as of the trip. We're deeply disturbed by the experience they've gone through, and we are engaging our Polish counterparts to see to it that that situation is resolved.
Well, let's bring in SABC News correspondent Dasha Chernyshova, perhaps for more on this. Dasha's location is in fact in Moscow. Dasha, good afternoon. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC in South Africa. Walk us through what the latest is emerging in terms of news coming in. There were reports suggesting that Russia, in fact, had fired cruise missiles at Kyiv. Can we confirm the source of this and whether it is true or not?
Well, as we understand, the air raid sirens were indeed on in Kyiv, but Moscow didn't comment on any of those strikes. Moscow once again says it is hitting the military infrastructure of Ukraine. But indeed, the delegation of the African leaders will be received in Russia on Saturday. They will be coming to Russia's second largest city of St. Petersburg. And according to Russia's presidential aide, Yuri Ushakov, the delegation will indeed be discussing everything in the meetings on Saturday. We don't know whether Russia has received any documents with the peace proposals. Moscow says they will be discussing everything in person, but indeed we understand that this is a peace mission and the sides are to talk about the de-escalation measures for the Ukrainian conflict. Moscow has never ruled out that this initiative could not be successful, so the understanding that there are many issues on the table as well. Moscow says they will be talking about the grain deal, and this is, according to Moscow, what is worrying the African nations. But at the same time, Moscow has been saying that it does not intend to extend the grain deal, the Black Sea Grain Initiative, beyond the July 17th, because Moscow says nothing has been done to implement the provisions of this grain deal when it comes to the export of the Russian agricultural goods to the international markets. We also understand that the sides will be talking about the possibility of the Russian President Vladimir Putin participating in the BRICS summit in South Africa in August because of the ICC arrest warrant for the Russian president. Russia's foreign ministry has said earlier that they do expect the South African side to make sure that the Russian president has the immunity from that. But all in all, Moscow has been saying that Africa is a very important partner of Russia. The ties have been strengthening. There have been several delegations of Russian officials to Africa over the course of the past year. Moscow says that Africa is under increased pressure from the Western countries, particularly the United States, but thanks African countries for their neutral approach when it comes to this conflict in Ukraine.
Dasha, just very quickly, we obviously understand at this point media and protectors of President Cyril Ramaphosa remain stuck in Poland. Are they going to make it in time for the coverage of these peace talks? What's also emerging on that front as we speak?
Well, we understand that Cyril Ramaphosa is indeed in Kyiv at the moment. That's according to the media reports. And we understand that the delegation will then be going to Poland and then traveling to St. Petersburg for these peace negotiations with the Russian president. But indeed, the situation is difficult. It is the time when the special military operation of Russia is underway in Ukraine, and certainly that complicates the logistics and the traveling between the two countries.
Dasha, thank you very much for that update with us here on the SABC.